Welcome to BookBuzz Reviews and Summaries. Dear readers, imagine for a moment the weight of your own thoughts, those incessant whispers of doubt, the nagging regrets of yesterday, and the simmering anxieties of tomorrow. Imagine, too, the feeling of being trapped within the walls of your own mind, where every thought is a door that leads only to another corridor of uncertainty. How many of us have found ourselves lost in this maze, yearning for an escape, a way to break free from the tyranny of our own inner dialogue? Today, I invite you on a journey that does not promise to silence your thoughts, but instead offers a radical new approach to living alongside them. A journey that asks not that you conquer every fear, but that you open the door to it, look it in the eye, and say, "You may come along, but you will not steer this ship." This is the journey laid out before us in Get Out of Your Mind and Into Your Life, The New Acceptance and Commitment Therapy by Stephen C. Hayes. This book is not merely a collection of theories or a dry manual on mental health. It is a lifeline. It is a hand reaching out to those who are drowning in the sea of their own thoughts, offering not a rescue boat that will take you away from your struggles, but rather the tools to navigate those stormy waters with courage and clarity. It is a manifesto for those ready to reclaim their lives from the grips of avoidance and fear. Dr. Hayes, a pioneer in the field of psychology, introduces us to acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, a revolutionary approach that dares to challenge the conventional wisdom of battling negative thoughts. Instead of engaging in endless mental combat, ACT teaches us the art of acceptance, the profound skill of allowing our thoughts and emotions to exist without letting them dictate our actions. It is about making space for our discomfort while committing to a life driven by what truly matters to us. Imagine, if you will, standing on the edge of a great canyon. On one side is where you are now, stuck, perhaps overwhelmed, living in the shadow of your fears. On the other side lies the life you long for, a life filled with purpose, joy, and authenticity. Between you and that life is a chasm filled with all the uncomfortable thoughts and feelings you've tried so hard to avoid. What this book offers is not a bridge that magically transports you to the other side, but rather a guide to building your own path, step by step, across that divide. It offers you the courage to take that first step, even when your mind screams at you to retreat. In these pages, you will not find promises of a quick fix or a miracle cure. Instead, you will find practical exercises, thoughtful reflections, and powerful insights that can help you disentangle yourself from your thoughts. You will learn how to observe your mind without being dominated by it, how to accept your emotions without being ruled by them, and how to move forward in life guided not by fear but by your deepest values. If you are ready to break free from the chains of your own mind, if you are ready to stop merely surviving and start truly living, then let this book be your guide. Let it be the lantern that illuminates the path forward, even when the fog of doubt surrounds you. Let it be the compass that keeps you aligned with what matters most to you, even when the storms of life threaten to pull you off course. So, take a deep breath and turn the page. A new chapter of your life awaits. And with it, the opportunity to get out of your mind and into your life, where the world is vast, your potential is boundless, and every step forward is a victory worth celebrating. Part 1 Summary of Get Out of Your Mind and Into Your Life, The New Acceptance and Commitment Therapy by Stephen C. Hayes. Dear readers, imagine for a moment that the key to a fulfilling life is not in conquering every thought or silencing every fear, but in embracing them, accepting them, and moving forward despite them. Stephen C. Hayes, in his transformative book, Get Out of Your Mind and Into Your Life, invites us on a journey to do just that. He introduces us to acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, a revolutionary approach to mental well-being that challenges us to step away from the battlefield of our minds and into the rich, vibrant world of present living. Today, let us dive deep into the first part of this enlightening work, exploring its chapters with the energy, clarity, and passion of a great orator. We will unravel the profound insights and actionable strategies that lay the foundation for achieving true psychological freedom. Chapter 1: The Human Condition: Why Our Minds Make Us Suffer. Hayes opens with a fundamental truth: suffering is part of the human experience. He paints a vivid picture of how our minds, designed for survival, often become traps of pain and struggle. The very cognitive tools that help us navigate the world, our thoughts, our ability to analyze and predict, can also imprison us in cycles of worry, self-doubt, and negativity. He shares poignant examples of how our internal dialogues can spiral out of control, creating barriers between where we are and where we want to be. He asks us to envision the mind as a problem-solving machine, constantly analyzing and comparing, but warns that this same mechanism often sabotages our peace and happiness. Hayes introduces us to the concept of experiential avoidance, the natural human tendency to avoid unpleasant thoughts and feelings. While this avoidance may offer short-term relief, it ultimately strengthens the hold of our struggles. He sets the stage for ACT as an antidote, promising a path to break free from this cycle. Chapter 2: The Problem with Control: Why Trying to Change Your Thoughts Doesn't Work. In this powerful chapter, Hayes challenges a deeply ingrained belief that we must control our thoughts and feelings to live a good life. He describes how traditional approaches to mental health often focus on changing or eliminating negative thoughts. However, as anyone who has ever tried not to think of a pink elephant knows, this strategy often backfires. He likens the mind to a quicksand pit. The more we struggle to control our thoughts, the deeper we sink. Hayes introduces a pivotal idea: instead of fighting our thoughts, we must learn to accept them. He shares stories of individuals who found freedom not by erasing their anxieties, but by making peace with them. Through exercises and metaphors, he demonstrates that thoughts are just thoughts, not commands, not truths, and certainly not threats. The mind may whisper fears and doubts, but we do not have to obey them. Chapter 3: Cognitive Fusion: When Thoughts Stick Like Glue. Hayes brings our attention to the concept of cognitive fusion, a state where we become so entangled with our thoughts that we cannot see them for what they are. Imagine, he says, wearing glasses with smudged lenses. Everything you see is distorted, but you believe it is the world that is unclear, not your perception of it. He shares techniques to help us defuse from our thoughts, allowing us to observe them without being controlled by them. One method involves saying a thought out loud repeatedly until it loses its power, demonstrating how the mind's grip can be loosened through simple but profound exercises. Hayes empowers us with the understanding that cognitive fusion is a key source of our suffering, but by creating distance from our thoughts, we can reclaim control of our lives. Chapter 4: The Trap of Avoidance: How Running from Pain Makes It Worse. In a bold and illuminating chapter, Hayes addresses the seductive nature of avoidance. He explains how our instinct to flee from discomfort is rooted in evolutionary survival mechanisms. However, when applied to our internal world, avoidance only intensifies our suffering. Hayes uses the metaphor of a beach ball held underwater. The harder you push it down, the stronger it rebounds. In the same way, avoiding negative thoughts and feelings only makes them surface more forcefully. He introduces the ACT principle of acceptance, guiding us to open up to our experiences, however uncomfortable. Acceptance, he argues, is not about resignation but about making room for all aspects of our humanity. It is about creating space to live fully, even with discomfort present. Chapter 5: The Power of Acceptance: Learning to Open Up to Life. With the groundwork laid, Hayes delves into acceptance as a transformative practice. He reframes acceptance as an act of courage and strength, inviting us to welcome all of our thoughts and emotions with open arms. He offers practical exercises to cultivate acceptance, including mindfulness practices that encourage us to observe our experiences without judgment. One powerful exercise involves visualizing our thoughts as leaves floating down a stream, acknowledging them without needing to grab hold of them. Hayes emphasizes that acceptance is not passive. It is an active choice to engage with life, to feel deeply, and to live authentically. By accepting our internal world, we gain the freedom to take meaningful action in our external world. Chapter 6: The Gift of the Present Moment. Anchoring yourself in now. Hayes brings us to the present, the only place where life truly happens. He highlights how much of our suffering arises from living in the past or worrying about the future. Through mindfulness, he teaches us to connect with the present moment, cultivating a sense of peace and grounding. He introduces practical techniques such as focusing on the breath, engaging the senses, and practicing gratitude. Each exercise serves as a reminder that the present moment is a refuge from the storm of the mind. Hayes leaves us with a powerful call to action, to practice presence not just in meditation but in everyday life, while eating, walking, and even during difficult times. This practice, he assures us, is the foundation of a life well lived. Closing of Part 1. A call to step forward. As we conclude the first part of _Get Out of Your Mind and Into Your Life _, Hayes leaves us with a challenge: to step off the battlefield of our minds and into the world around us. He has set the stage for a profound transformation, not through escape or denial, but through radical acceptance and courageous living. The chapters so far have not only been informative, but also deeply moving. Hayes speaks to the very core of what it means to be human, to struggle, to hope, and ultimately, to find peace in the present moment. Stay with me as we continue this journey into parts 2 and 3, where we will explore how to align our actions with our deepest values and commit to living a life of purpose and fulfillment. The path ahead is bright, and together, we will walk it with openness, courage, and an unwavering commitment to living fully. Part 2 Summary. Dear readers, as we journey deeper into Stephen C. Hayes' powerful book, _Get Out of Your Mind and Into Your Life _, we now enter Part 2, The Heart of Acceptance and Commitment Therapy, ACT. In this section, Hayes not only challenges us to confront our inner struggles, but equips us with practical tools to live a life aligned with our values and purpose. Prepare to be inspired and empowered, as each chapter brings us closer to a life of authenticity, courage, and profound fulfillment. Chapter 7: Values. Finding Your Guiding Light. Hayes opens this chapter by inviting us to look inward, not at our thoughts or fears, but at our values. He asks us, what truly matters to you? This question, simple yet profound, serves as a compass for our lives. He explains that values are not goals. Goals are destinations, while values are the direction. Goals can be achieved and crossed off a list, but living in alignment with our values is a lifelong journey. Whether it is being a loving parent, a creative artist, or a compassionate friend, our values ground us in meaning and purpose. Hayes introduces exercises to help identify these core values. One such exercise is the tombstone test, where he prompts us to imagine what we would want inscribed on our tombstone. This visualization strips away the noise of everyday life, revealing what truly matters to us. Chapter 8: Committed Action. Living your values every day. Once our values are clear, Hayes guides us toward committed action. He emphasizes that knowing our values is not enough. We must take deliberate steps toward them. Committed action is about setting small, actionable goals that bring us closer to our values, even when faced with obstacles. He shares stories of individuals who transformed their lives by taking consistent, values-driven actions. These stories illustrate that progress is not always about big leaps, but often about small, steady steps in the right direction. Hayes provides practical strategies for overcoming barriers to action, such as procrastination and fear of failure. He introduces the concept of willingness, the readiness to experience discomfort in pursuit of a meaningful life. This, he says, is the essence of true commitment. Chapter 9: Psychological Flexibility. The Key to a Resilient Mind. At the core of ACT is the concept of psychological flexibility. Hayes describes this as the ability to adapt to changing circumstances, to hold thoughts and emotions lightly, and to remain connected to our values. Psychological flexibility is not about avoiding difficulties, but about moving fluidly through them. He introduces 6 core processes of ACT that build this flexibility. 1. Acceptance, making space for thoughts and feelings instead of avoiding them. 2. Cognitive diffusion, learning to see thoughts as just thoughts, not absolute truths. 3. Being present, engaging fully with the here and now. 4. Self as context, seeing oneself as the observer of experiences, not defined by them. 5. Values, clarifying what truly matters. 6. Committed action, taking steps in alignment with values. Through vivid examples and exercises, Hayes demonstrates how integrating these processes can transform our response to life's challenges. Chapter 10. Embracing Discomfort, the Price of a Meaningful Life. In this chapter, Hayes delivers a powerful truth. A life worth living often requires us to experience discomfort. He uses the metaphor of a rich tapestry, explaining that the darker threads, our pain and struggles, are woven alongside the lighter, more joyful ones. Together, they create the full picture of our lives. He introduces the concept of expansion, a mindfulness technique where we make room for uncomfortable feelings. Instead of pushing them away, we observe them with curiosity and compassion. Hayes offers practical exercises, such as breathing into the sensation of discomfort, which helps us move through pain instead of being stuck in it. Hayes challenges us to see discomfort not as a barrier, but as a bridge to living fully. It is the price we pay for pursuing our passions, building deep relationships, and stepping into our authentic selves. Chapter 11. The Observing Self, Finding the Stillness Within. Hayes brings us into the realm of self as context, introducing the idea of the observing self. Unlike the conceptualized self, which is defined by our thoughts, labels, and stories, the observing self is a place of stillness and awareness. It is the part of us that can watch our thoughts and feelings without being swept away by them. He presents exercises that help us connect with this observing self, such as mindfulness meditations and reflective practices. By accessing this inner space, we gain a powerful tool for navigating life storms. We learn that while our thoughts and emotions may be turbulent, the observing self remains a calm, steady witness. Chapter 12. Taking Your Mind for a Walk, the Practice of Diffusion. In this chapter, Hayes introduces more advanced techniques for cognitive diffusion. He shares creative strategies, such as imagining thoughts as radio static or giving them silly voices, to reduce their influence over us. These exercises highlight a critical insight. Thoughts only have power when we believe them unconditionally. By learning to diffuse from them, we take away their ability to dictate our actions. Hayes emphasizes that diffusion is not about making thoughts go away, but about changing our relationship with them. He encourages us to practice diffusion daily, treating it as mental training that builds resilience and clarity. Chapter 13. The Courage to Act, Stepping into a Values-Driven Life. The final chapter of Part 2 is a call to action. Hayes brings together all the concepts of ACT and challenges us to take bold steps toward our values. He stresses that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. He shares inspiring stories of individuals who face their fears, from overcoming social anxiety to pursuing lifelong dreams. Each story reinforces the idea that meaningful action often feels uncomfortable, but this discomfort is a sign of growth. Hayes introduces the ACT matrix, a practical tool that helps us evaluate our actions based on whether they move us toward or away from our values. This tool serves as a compass, guiding us through daily decisions and helping us stay on track even in difficult times. Closing of Part 2, a powerful invitation. As Part 2 concludes, Hayes leaves us with a powerful invitation to not just think about our values, but to live them boldly. He has armed us with the tools of acceptance and commitment therapy, teaching us how to accept our inner experiences, defuse from unhelpful thoughts, and take committed action toward a life that truly matters. The path ahead is not without challenges. There will be moments of fear, discomfort, and doubt. But with the practices and principles of ACT, we are equipped to face them with an open heart and a determined spirit. Dear readers, the journey is far from over. Stay with me as we move into part 3, where Hayes will guide us in integrating these teachings into every aspect of our lives, creating not only moments of fulfillment, but a lasting legacy of courage and authenticity. Together, let us continue this journey with strength, with purpose, and with the unwavering resolve to live a life that is not just survived but deeply, profoundly lived. Part 3 Summary. Dear readers, we now embark on the final part of our journey through Stephen C. Hayes' transformative book, Get Out of Your Mind and Into Your Life. This is where theory meets practice, where everything we've learned about acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, is woven into the fabric of our daily lives. In Part 3, Hayes challenges us not only to understand these powerful concepts but to embody them, to live them out with courage and integrity. It is here that the true magic of ACT unfolds, showing us how to cultivate a life of deep meaning, resilience, and fulfillment. Chapter 14, Living in the Moment, The Art of Being Present. Hayes begins by illuminating the profound power of the present moment. He reminds us that our minds often pull us into the past or catapult us into the future, robbing us of the richness of the now. In this chapter, he teaches us how to ground ourselves, to truly be where we are. He introduces mindfulness techniques that are both simple and transformative. These include breath awareness, body scans, and mindful observation of our surroundings. Through practice, we learn to notice our thoughts and feelings without becoming entangled in them. Hayes also emphasizes the importance of practicing non-judgment. He encourages us to observe our experiences with curiosity rather than labeling them as good or bad. This shift in perspective helps us move through life with greater ease and acceptance. Chapter 15, Building Resilience, Embracing Life's Challenges. In this chapter, Hayes turns his attention to resilience, the ability to bounce back from adversity. He acknowledges that life is filled with hardships, from everyday stress to profound losses. However, through ACT, we can build a foundation of strength and adaptability. He introduces the concept of psychological resilience, explaining that it is not about avoiding pain, but about how we respond to it. By practicing acceptance and diffusion, we create space between ourselves and our struggles, allowing us to act in ways that align with our values. Hayes shares real-life stories of individuals who faced immense challenges and emerged stronger. These examples serve as powerful reminders that resilience is not a fixed trait, but a skill we can cultivate through practice. Chapter 16, The Power of Perspective, Seeing the Bigger Picture. Hayes masterfully guides us to step back and gain perspective. He introduces exercises that help us shift from a narrow, problem-focused view to a broader, more holistic understanding of our lives. One of these exercises involves imagining our lives as a movie, where we are both the actor and the director. This dual perspective allows us to see our challenges as part of a larger narrative, reducing their intensity and helping us find new ways forward. He also emphasizes gratitude as a tool for perspective. By focusing on what is good and meaningful in our lives, we create a mental buffer against stress and negativity. Gratitude, he explains, is not about denying difficulties, but about balancing them with appreciation. Chapter 17, Relationships, Connecting Through Vulnerability. Hayes delves into the critical role of relationships in our well-being. He argues that meaningful connections are built on authenticity and vulnerability, qualities that ACT naturally fosters. Through acceptance and diffusion, we become more comfortable with our own imperfections, which in turn allows us to show up more fully in our relationships. Hayes introduces techniques for practicing empathy, active listening, and open communication, all of which strengthen our bonds with others. He also addresses the challenges of relationships, including conflicts and misunderstandings. By applying the principles of ACT, we learn to approach these difficulties with compassion and clarity, choosing responses that are aligned with our values. Chapter 18: Overcoming Fear, the Path to Courageous Living. Fear, Hayes tells us, is a natural part of life. But too often, it becomes a barrier that holds us back from pursuing our dreams. In this chapter, he challenges us to transform our relationship with fear, not by eliminating it, but by learning to move forward despite it. He introduces the fear-setting exercise, where we confront our fears head-on by identifying the worst-case scenarios, evaluating their likelihood, and planning how we would cope. This process demystifies fear and reduces its power over us. Hayes emphasizes that courage is not a feeling but a choice. Each time we act in alignment with our values, even when afraid, we build a stronger, braver self. He encourages us to take small, meaningful steps every day toward a life of purpose and fulfillment. Chapter 19: Finding Peace, Letting Go of Control. In this poignant chapter, Hayes addresses our deep-seated desire to control our lives and the anxiety that arises when things don't go as planned. He teaches us that peace comes not from control but from acceptance. He introduces exercises that help us practice willingness, the ability to experience difficult thoughts and feelings without resistance. By surrendering the need to control, we create space for new possibilities and a deeper sense of peace. Hayes shares a powerful metaphor: life as a river. When we try to control everything, it is like swimming upstream, exhausting and often futile. But when we learn to let go, we can flow with life, navigating its currents with grace and resilience. Chapter 20: Living a Values-Driven Life, Writing Your Own Story. As we reach the final chapter, Hayes brings all the threads of ACT together, showing us how to create a life that is not only meaningful, but truly our own. He emphasizes that living a values-driven life is not a one-time choice, but a continuous process of reflection and recommitment. He introduces the Life Compass exercise, where we regularly assess our actions against our values, ensuring we stay on course. This practice helps us make intentional choices, even in the face of challenges and setbacks. Hayes ends the book with a powerful reminder: our lives are not defined by our thoughts or our circumstances, but by the actions we take. By choosing to live in alignment with our values, we create a life story filled with authenticity, courage, and love. A triumphant closing, the invitation to live fully. As we conclude this incredible journey through _Get Out of Your Mind and Into Your Life _, Hayes leaves us with an invitation, a call to action. He asks us to step out of our minds, to stop letting our thoughts dictate our lives, and instead to live boldly, in the present, and with unwavering commitment to our values. Dear readers, the tools are now in your hands. The path forward is not without obstacles, but with acceptance, mindfulness, and committed action, you can navigate any storm. You can create a life that not only withstands difficulties but flourishes because of them. Take this wisdom with you. Practice these principles daily. And remember, true freedom lies not in the absence of discomfort, but in the ability to live fully and freely amidst it. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now, let us step into our lives with open hearts and fearless spirits. The world awaits your story. Make it a great one. Thanks for listening to BookBuzz Reviews and Summaries. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new video updates.